Oh, welcome back. Stocks are down this morning, extending yesterday's losses ahead of Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. We are expecting the speaker to touch down tonight in Taiwan. Markets continue to see declines on the economic issues. We've got double-digit losses year to date, and yet we did have a pretty good rally in the month of July. Joining me right now, as you can see, the July markets with the Nasdaq up better than 12%. Joining me right now to see if this has legs is Veta Phi Vice Chairman Tom Lydon. Tom, great to see you. Thanks very much for being here this morning. It was a very strong month in July. What do you think was behind that, and do you think this rally continues in the second half of the year?
Yeah, it was a great rally off the lows, especially in the mid-June. We saw the Nasdaq 100 up 17%, Maria. You know, Nasdaq stocks, growth stocks, have really been pounded since first quarter of last year. But investors are resilient. I think there's more optimism that the Fed is probably doing what it needs to do so far. We've seen a little bit of a pullback in inflation. And those, especially in the ETF area, that have bought on the dips have been rewarded. So when you look at ETFs like the QQQ, you still have opportunities to buy in low. That area has been 50, 60% off the high. And as you've reported regularly, you see a lot of tech stocks that are off 60, 70%. You don't have these opportunities that often.
Yeah, but today the story is China. What are you seeing in terms of those Chinese corporate ETFs where we are watching a big sell-off there and a sell-off overseas? Of course, we've got domestic issues that investors are worried about as well. We've got the July jobs report out on Friday. This week, and economists are expecting 250,000 jobs to have been added to the economy in the month of July, with the unemployment rate holding steady, Tom. Let me get your take on, now we know that we are in a recession. We've seen a real slowdown in this economy. Does it ultimately hit jobs? And what about the China threat? Well, what are you seeing in terms of moves by investors?
Right. Ultimately, Maria, when you talk about China first, they've gone through some regulatory strain and a lot of pressure to delist Chinese stocks. So that hasn't boded well for them. And that's threatened their economy and markets. They don't want to do that. And then again, when you look at what's going on with Pelosi's trip to Taiwan and saber rattling, that's not going to affect things in a positive way either. So they have to be very, very careful because they depend on foreign investors. As far as employment, you know, seeing the employment rate, unemployment rate at 3.6% and jobs available at 11 million, you know, that's twice as many jobs that need to be filled. So that's going to do a lot to support wages, which, especially in the lower paid end, we need that, which is not going to do a lot to help the inflation numbers. However, we may see a Goldilocks situation where inflation comes down but stabilizes at 5 to 6% for a number of years.
Yeah. Alex Sanchez, jump in.
Yes. Tom, let me ask you, for the American family watching Maria's show this morning, worried about this economy, worried about high rates, worried about record inflation rates, you know, and they're planning their future, what do you recommend that, where should they put their money and invest today, Tom?
Well, it's important to understand long-term we need to be solid investors. And for investors that all of a sudden exit the market at the wrong time, that can be really devastating, as you know, Alex. So, again, big fan of ETFs. It's been really tough to beat the S&P 500 coming out of the financial crisis. If you just stay in for the long haul, you should be fine. And most importantly, as we talked earlier, technology stocks are the future. So the S&P is not just going to help you there. Look for the Nasdaq 100. I think you're going to continue to do well.
All right, that's certainly the bright spot in July. Tom, good to see you. Thanks for checking in.
Good seeing you, Maria.
We'll talk soon. Thank you, sir. Tom Lydon joining us this morning. All right, great to see you. Your morning mover is